Pappy's back this week. It's going to be a different kind of video. I'm still fooling with this lawnmower. It's killing me. I've been trying to get this thing repaired, and I follow everything by the book. And the book is not working. And I've contacted people, and they all tell me the same thing the book did. And the spacing on this flywheel, if you want to call it that, or drive disc, they got several different names for it. But it is the flywheel that comes off the base of the engine, and it's adjustable. You can move it up and down. And you set it by the gauge, and it jams the linkage. It hits the clutch linkage. Somebody's done something to this mower that is not factory. I'm basically going to have to try to adjust this by feel. I can't do it by depth because you can't push in the clutch. So I'm going to try to show you a couple of pictures. You know, you can look at these pictures I'll play here in the background, but of what it's doing. And then I'm trying to send this back to Jim as well. He's been helping me a lot with it. And all these snappers, every one of them are just alike. They all require the depth of 3 3/4 inch or 3 13/16. That's the maximum minimum. I'm barely able to get 3.5, maybe 3 9/16. And if I adjust it to that height, it just barely clears and the clutch can be fully depressed. And yet I set the wheel, you know, what they're trying to do is you got a hub that has a hole in the center. That's where the shaft is. And that's where they want the rubber wheel when it's in neutral to be centered in that hub, and the circumference of the wheel can fit down in that hole. And I want to try to get that as tight as I can and then see how it does. It's not going to be spec, but that's where I'm going to try. I'm not going to be able to film me doing this. I'll just show you a couple of pictures of what I've done. I've got to just get this done. I've got to get this yard mowed somehow or some way, or get me another deck for this mower, not the deck, but the back housing that has that pivot point or clutch pivot welded to it that's correct. Somebody's altered this one somehow, some way is all I can figure. But with that said, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I've got the mower deck off where it's easier to put a light in here where I can brighten things up. I even opened the garage door. As you can hear Bonnie in the background, she's mad because I put her in her little room. She has an outside window she can go out and look, but on her catio. But right now I got the door open. I don't want her getting outside. So with that said, here's what we're up against. Here is the gauge right here that I was instructed to build, and it looks just like everybody else's. You're supposed to, if you look at the end of it, it's got a notch. Let's see if I can show you. See the notch? Okay, that notch is supposed to go down in here. And oh, let me show you too. I'm getting a lot of the reflection, so bear with me. But the spec, the notches in the side, let's see. The notches in the side, one of them is at 3 3/4, the other is at 3 13/16. And that notch down here at this end is got to fit in the case, fit on the case right here, or on the part of the tractor. Right there, you put it in there, and then the flywheel, if you look, is supposed to go inside that notch. And I can't get it in there. It's too low. If I extend it down, we hit back here on this linkage. I don't know if you can see how close that is. I start coming in contact with this when I pivot the clutch. Right now where it's at, it's got just barely enough room to get past that. And I'm going to try to run it like that. As you can tell, the wheel is already contacting the flywheel pretty good. It's enough to lock it down, you know, and hopefully it won't slip too bad. I may need to replace this metal piece here, you know, because these pivot points apparently have been altered. That's the only thing I could tell where this bolts up. There has been some welding done here, and I think that's what they've done is somebody's cut this off and put it in the wrong place. And this pivot point hits. So, I mean, it looks like somebody's welded that if you look here where my finger is and over here. That doesn't look to be a factory weld. I can't swear to it. That must be what the difference is. And I don't know why they would have done that, but to fix this, I would have to replace this whole panel, the back half of the mower that the engine attaches to. And I don't have one with me. I've got one in Dahlonega, and or buy another old mower and get it from that. But we're going to try to make this work for now, just so I can get my grass mowed. That's where I'm at. So, I don't know if my camera filming, I'm just frustrated with this mower right at the moment, so we're not going to have a very long video here, but we're going to try to get this down. I'm going to put the deck back on it, and we're going to see if it'll run. Yeah, I need to do that because this belt is already in there. I don't want to run it without the deck because the belt might get tangled up or something like that. This is just a can of worms here. So I want to put it back together, and we're going to give it a try. If not, I'll have to go get my other mower and get this base and change it, because I'm not going to screw with the geometry and all and reinventing the wheel down there where somebody's welded something. I'm going to try to work with what they've done. It wasn't working when I got it, though, so I don't know. This is not the original engine. It's definitely been monkeyed with, so we're going to do the best we can with what we got. Okay, we've been waiting a long time for this moment. I finally got this thing back together, and I'm going to cut the grass. So, here it is. Grass catcher on. This is what makes the Snapper COMET so popular, is nobody can match that high back deck. And I got a lot of leaves that I never got up last fall because I was fooling with this thing. Now I'm going to take care of that right now. All right. And you can tell it over the hill. There it is. That was the problem. I took it back. Let's take a look and see what we did. We sucked up some stuff. It didn't pick all the pine needles up, but it will. I have to lower the deck to get those down low, but it's doing its job. So I'm going to get to it. So with that said, I got to get to mowing some grass. So until next week,